Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Willie's Rabbit Hole, the show where I do a deep dive on a topic and show the world what I pull from the muck. I'm your host, Willie Johnson, and I'd like to show you my hole. Now, for those who don't know, The Office is an American television show about a group of co-workers in a middling paper supply company and all of the hijinks they would get into to, break up the day-to-day. Because humans aren't meant to toil under fluorescent lighting, answering emails and phone calls day in and day out, talking to equally miserable people, so that maybe some four-eyed piece of shit named Brian will tell you you're a good little email boy and pat you on the back and get you and your coworkers a pizza party, which he won't even pay for, or maybe if you're a really good little email boy and you really kiss his ass, you'll get an extra 40 cents an hour. Well, the meantime, since you're such a good little email boy, Brian over here, he's going to end up getting a bonus at the end of the year that's bigger than your salary because office work and clerical work is the pulsating, leaking bubo on the ass that is capitalism. Now, The Office started in 2005, and it's been giving people who otherwise would have the personality of mayonnaise on a boiled egg something to build a personality around. On the surface, The Office seems like a harmless, goofy comedy that we can all relate to. Well, 73% of us, if you see what I'm saying. But what if I told you that The Office was actually responsible for the events of January 6th, 2021. The very events that made us all go, after reading this script, I realized it kind of made it sound like I hated The Office, and I want you to know I didn't hate The Office. I think it's a fine show full of great jokes. Really helped launch the career of a couple of people on it. But no, it's been a big part of my life since I was a child. In fact, here's a picture of me at an Office themed party when I was in 7th grade. Everyone in that picture is the same age. I was doing a lot of HGH in the 7th grade. I wanted to clear the air on that. I think it's a fine show. I just think it may have inadvertently or inadvertently destroyed the fabric of America. Alright, so let's get to the episode. Now, in the year of our Dark Lord 2021, I don't need to tell you that Jim and Pam's relationship is problematic, to say the least. But for the uninitiated, we'll do a little recap. Now, when the show began, Jim and Pam, they were just friends. Pam was engaged to Roy, and Jim was, to Pam's knowledge, just one of her best friends. As the first season progresses, though, we start to realize that Jim may have stronger feelings for Pam, romantic feelings, and maybe those feelings are reciprocated? Except, are they? Never once in the first season does it show Pam treating Jim like anything other than one of her very good friends. But the show makes us root for a non-existent relationship between them because it shows Pam unhappy with her fiancé, Roy. And why is she so unhappy? Because Roy has a life outside of Pam. Unlike Jim, he doesn't spend his days thinking about, obsessing, daydreaming about Pam. He's a human being with other shit going on. Now, even though Jim is a total Pam simp, he does do a little bit of growing up by the end of the first season. And we actually see him taking out some rando sales lady for casual sex and dollar shots. Fun fact, that rando sales lady is played by Academy Award-winning actress Amy Adams. So that's neatish. Now, season 2 opens pretty... I forgot to hang the thing up. Son of a bitch. Season 2 opened strong, and Jim has begun dating Lois Lane. But the first episode ends with Pam getting super wasted and kissing Jim. Jim, being the white knight simp that he is, takes this to mean that Pam has feelings for him like he does her, and she must be in love with him. When in reality, Pam is just a big lush and was probably awesome in college. Later in the second season, Pam and Roy finally have a hard date for their wedding, and Jim does not take it well. Not only does he end his relationship with Amy Adams, probably because she had too much personality, but he also makes up a fake vacation that he's going to be on the very day of Pam's wedding so he doesn't have to show up. Because Jim doesn't care about Pam's feelings unless it could potentially lead to him getting sloppy top behind the water cooler. The end of season 2. Pam and Jim's first kiss. The moment we've all been waiting for. It's the office casino night. Because at this office, they're not like every other stuffy office. You know, they're like you and your coworkers at every job you've ever had, because everyone thinks that about themselves. Anyway, so it's office casino night, and Roy, probably not wanting to hang out with Pam's lame-ass friends, decides to leave. But before his car is even off the street, he's barely out of the parking lot, and Jim decides to ruin the mood of the whole night by declaring his love to Pam.
I'm in love with you.
What?
Not only is this a shitty move on Jim's part, because Jim knows Pam is unsure about marriage, because she should be unsure about marriage. Marriage is a huge decision, and if you're not questioning whether or not this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and have to go on with them in mind for every decision you make, then you're probably not emotionally mature enough for marriage. Like Jim's not emotionally mature enough for even a relationship. Deeper than that, though, Jim probably knows more intimate details about Pam and Roy's relationship. They were best friends. Pam probably came to him when she was upset or sad or mad or what have you, because, you know, Jim was a friend and she thought she could trust him. So this whole time, the whole time that Jim and Pam and Roy and this love triangle, that's not really a triangle, it's more of a line with a leech next to one of the ends. The whole time this has been going on, Jim has been getting intimate details. So when Pam comes to him with complaints about Roy, he can just turn around and show how he's the opposite of Roy in that exact way that Pam is mad at Roy. Like, I almost guarantee that if Pam ever came into the office and complained about Roy destroying the toilet after a night of drinking in White Castle, by lunchtime, we would see Jim eating a salad, standing at his desk because he's still not used to his new ass cork. And on top of all of that, Jim's also decided to spring this on Pam, on a night where Jim and Pam, are having a great time, and Roy wasn't, so he left. Jim is hoping he can steal Pam away from a man that she's been with for... How long have they been together? 8? Pam and Roy were together for 8 fucking years? Apparently they were high school sweethearts. Okay. And sure, it's a bummer whenever you see two people that were dating in high school get married. You know, Willie always says, male or female, your 20s are for going out and hoeing out. But who is Jim to say that someone that Pam has only known from work, a professional environment, for 40 hours a week, and we only ever see them outside of work with their coworkers, that he's a better fit than someone that she has been in an intimate relationship with for 8 years. Almost a decade. And why? Why does he think this? Because they have little inside jokes and, for the most part, get along. And that's the thing. We repeatedly see over just these 2 seasons, Jim and Pam fighting. They get into little spats. I have never gotten into a little spat with one of my coworkers. And do you know how many of them I've confessed my love to? 1. But he's made it very clear that it would never work out because neither of us are gay. And even if we were, he could do better. But I think Pam summarizes Jim's plan best of all.
I know that.
What are you doing?
Yeah, Jim. What are you doing indeed? Pam, of course, rejects Jim, and that should be that. But then the episode ends and we see Pam in the now empty office on the phone with her mom. She's probably saying something about how Jim betrayed her trust and she feels stupid and hurt for believing that Jim was just a friend looking for friendship. And then in comes old Harvey Jimstein. And before Pam can even get a word out, he kisses her. And we all applaud him for it. Because this man just followed a woman who just rejected him into, to his knowledge, a dark, empty office and forces himself on her. Good job, Jim.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I think I am. I have to go. I will. Listen, Jim.
Good job, Jim. Season 3 opens, and we once again see Jim running away from everything like a child. Pam has told him that she's still planning to marry Roy because somehow Jim's mild assault didn't make her moister than an oyster. So Jim has moved to a new town. He has the same shitty job, but surprisingly, he's met a new girl and she actually has like personality and style and spunk, and she's sassy, and she's not a human white bread. But wait, back in Scrotum, apparently Pam did decide to leave Roy, meaning that Jim's assault made her at least hotter than an otter. Anyway, some shit happens. It doesn't really affect the final point I'm trying to make here. More shit happens, and then boom! Old tall, pale, and clammy is back in Scranton, and he's brought his new boo thing. He then proceeds to use his new fine-ass girlfriend to gaslight the hell out of Pasty Pam, until finally she's bullied into admitting that she's trauma-bound to Jim, and anyway, Pam admits that she's trauma-bound to Jim. He gaslights her one final time before letting that hot shot of Too Good for This Show leave so he and Pam can finally be together. Finally, we get to season 4. 4 fucking seasons of this show before Jim and Pam are finally dating. And everyone loves them, despite the fact that they're absolutely the worst, and Jim is probably a sociopath. But hey, that's their personal problem, right? Surely their dumb little office romance wouldn't be the instigating spark that grew and turned into the absolute garbage fire of today's political climate, would it? I mean, how could any of this lead to the events of January 6th, 2021? After all, Jim is a nice guy, right? Well, you are correct. Jim is a capital N, capital G, nice guy. For those who don't know, nice guy syndrome is the belief that one is a genuinely nice human being, respectful, courteous, and funny. But in reality, their kindness is actually just a thinly veiled ploy to clap cheeks. Generally, nice guys are sexually frustrated individuals and believe that pretending to show kindness is all they need to attract women, and often blame society for their failings and fuckdom. Normally, they use their niceness to make up for their many shortcomings, like lack of any real personality. Most are man-children and can often be seen living at home well into their 20s and sometimes even into their 30s. They're often seen wearing graphic tees, have a disheveled, unwashed appearance, and generally overgrown, unstyled facial hair, and are accompanied by a week-old stench that doctors describe as an avalanche of unwashed nutsack. Now, obviously, this isn't always the case, and sometimes people who fit that description can actually be like really cool guys with huge wieners that have sex with hot women all the time, on the reg, daily, just plowing models. And also they can kickflip. They can kickflip so good. They'd show you, but they're boards in the shop right now, so they can't. But the opposite's also true. And sometimes you don't even fit any of the stereotypes, but your actions are pure, unfiltered, nice guy. And sure, Jim's not the first nice guy. The term has been around long before him. In 2002, the subtly named website Heartless Bitches International hosted several rants in regards to the nice guy concept. Fun fact, Heartless Bitches International is still up and running, and guess what? It's as toxic as ever. But if you do know where to look, you will find the best goddamn garlic parmesan zucchini pasta recipe you've ever had. So while Jim wasn't the first nice guy, he was the first mainstream nice guy. The first mainstream nice guy to be touted as a hero that we cheer for. When it showed Jim being a dick to Pam, it's because Pam deserved it. Of course she should be with Jim. He's such a nice guy, but she keeps going for that Chad Roy. The Office and Jim Halpert normalized nice guy behavior, and it showed that if you stick with that nice guy behavior, you will get the girl, and everyone will love you for it. With this normalization and mass appeal, the nice guy movement really began to grow with The Office. Hatred for women spread, and the movement began to feast on itself and morph into something much, much worse. Eventually, several members of the nice guy group have gave up and accepted that they would never be in a relationship at all. They would probably never even have sex. To no fault of their own, they would be forever celibate. Forever involuntarily celibate. That's right. We're talking about the stinkiest, the greasiest, the internet's favorite, horniest little terrorists, the incels. The incels, or the involuntarily celibate, are an amorous little group of rage-fueled men who blame society and women for their romantic frailty. Oftentimes, they stay to their blogs and chat rooms and image boards to emotionally suck each other off in a circle jerk of women-hating and mommy issues. But god damn it if they can't organize to bring their special brand of hate into the real world sometimes. It's like a church bake sale, but one where all the proceeds go to firebombing a Planned Parenthood. One of the incels' most famous virtual firebombings was, of course, Gamergate. Gamergate was where many incels, as well as others, harassed members of the gaming community, producers, developers, reviewers. They harassed these members for what they saw as these people pushing their liberal, feminist, SJW views into the medium and destroying gaming as we know it. And sure, sheeple may just see these people as sharing their personal point of view, and if it's something that doesn't interest them or even offends them, they'll just ignore it and go on with their lives. But the incels took a little bit of a different route and attacked these figures with death threats, rape threats, harassing the family members and friends of these people, as well as some doxing and even a few attempted swattings. But what are you going to do? The incels took the red pill. They see the Matrix. And, I mean, if you see the Matrix, you're going to end up tweeting a threat to a woman that you're going to rape her in half, because that's exactly what Neo did in that scene in The Matrix Reloaded. Now, I don't know who this 4chan is. He may just be a system administrator. But 4chan began giving the old ban hammer to anyone participating in Gamergate, which caused them all to flock to the newly formed 8chan, a website with very few rules that were hardly even enforced anyway. 8chan was a 4chan knockoff created by a little ventriloquist dummy as a haven of free speech where anything goes. Of course, this Wild West mentality and a place where you could be completely anonymous, already full of some of the internet's most volatile people, it went about as well as you'd think it would. And before you knew it, most of 8chan's boards were almost instantly full of racism, sexism, homophobia, and anti-Semitism. Or also how it's known, internet stuff. 8chan grew in popularity and infamy as more and more angry internet dwellers flooded to its safe, warm, racist arms. Just like Grandma. Rest in peace, Graham. Hate begat hate as 8chan users kept trying to outdo each other, a stampede of edgelords, all trying to be the king of Hate Mountain. And then the 2016 presidential election happened, and everything changed. The 2016 U.S. presidential election, you know, the election that saw a loose flesh bag filled with raw hamburger meat go up against a loose flesh bag full of raw hamburger meat, but with a spray tan. And for some reason, a lot of the crew behind the Gamergate whoopsie-doo really got behind their rich kid turned business boy turned personality turned reality show host turned politician. Is it possible that the incels found something relatable in Trump's irritable? Now, is it possible that the incels found something relatable in Trump's irritable, reactionary, sexist, and xenophobic demeanor? Is it possible that Donald Trump is the proto-incel? A man that has only ever had sex because of his perceived wealth, to the point now where he probably can't even get hard before spitting in a woman's face and stuffing a few $1,000s worth of 20s in her mouth. Probably. But like I said to that homeless woman that told me he had the eyes of a much prettier man, that's another hole for another day, sweetheart. Many of Trump's supporters believe that not only would he MAGA, but he would also mag to boss, or make America greater than it's ever been, or something. Enter QAnon, the supposed deep state agent who pushed the idea that, among other things, Trump and JFK Jr. back from the dead would lock up crooked Hillary and all of her child-killing, adrenochrome-sucking, Satanist lackeys, which was obviously a fucking lie. Nonetheless, thanks to QAnon spreading these super plausible theories, Trump supporters grew and grew, and somehow Donald Trump was able to bully his way to the Republican nomination. And from there, he was able to eke out a victory against one of the least likable, blandest politicians to ever run for the office of President of the United States. You know, really, there are a lot of parallels between Trump and Clinton and Jim and Pam. Once Trump got into office, though, he actually had to, start proving these QAnon theories. Surely they stopped, or at the very least got less ridiculous, right? No and no. So, while the country under Trump stayed relatively the same, like it has under every politician for the last 100 years, because they don't really do anything. Besides that time that Ronald Reagan accidentally destroyed the blue-collar middle class. So while the country did stay relatively the same, the people were getting more and more divided. Thanks to QAnon spreading its conspiracies, bringing more and more people onto 8chan, a site that gained traction from the Gamergate incident that was perpetrated by mostly incels, which was a progression of the nice guy movement, which was given legitimacy thanks to The Office and namely Jim Halpert. All of this, of course, though, came to a head during the 2020 election. Not Jim versus Pam this time, but more like Jim versus Creed. Because Biden seems a little out there and he tells goofy stories that are mostly half-truths and non-sequiturs. But he's the cool grandpa that smokes hella weed and doesn't care if his grandson's gay. But he also flies a Blue Lives Matter flag out on his front porch. Trump followers, brainwashed by QAnon and other similar conspiracies on Facebook, believe the presidential election was a fraud, despite no real evidence, because these people are so distrusting of anything that doesn't fit their stupid fucking political fan fiction in their head. They'll believe anything. And then on January 6th, 2021, with just a little encouragement from then President Trump, thousands of people, instead of being happy that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were going to lead, so basically 2 Republicans would stay in power, they decided to storm the Capitol to stop the steal, and I think execute Mike Pence. So, there some good, some bad. Fuck yeah. Kill Mike Pence. Or just electrocute Mike Pence until he's not a bigot anymore. That'd be cool. I mean, he believes that you can change people by torturing them. Let's see if it's true. But surely, all of this is just one big coincidence, and no one associated with The Office really planned for any of this, and honestly, they would have nothing to gain if they did plan it. Well, some good news was a show started by John Krasinski, an actor known for his roles in Jack Ryan on Amazon, A Quiet Place, the 2007 smash hit License to Wed, and The Office, where he played Jim Halpert. That's right. Some good news was a show where John Krasinski sat in front of his camera and told us about good news, like a Florida puppy and this duckling are best friends. Look at this cop do the Macarena instead of killing an unarmed black man. Or adorable baby finds mother is yet another victim of the great American opioid crisis. Dials 911, but then gets distracted by truck videos on YouTube. Isn't that the cutest thing? It's not the cutest thing. In most circumstances, this would be seen as obvious virtue signaling, and he would have been rightfully scoffed at and made fun of and wouldn't have done more than one episode. But in a global pandemic that was mismanaged by an egomaniac, that was elected in a big part thanks to people who became the way they are, emulating a character played by John Krasinski, well, he was able to sell the idea to ABC for millions of dollars. Greg Daniels, the man who brought The Office to American viewers and is billed as the head writer, he later went on to create the show Space Force, another workplace comedy about working in the Space Force. You know, the new military branch created by Donald Trump. It says here Space Force was just renewed for a second season by Netflix. Congratulations, Greg. And then there's NBC, the network that aired The Office and also helped make Trump palatable to Americans with The Apprentice. And then after Trump announced his presidency, they had him go on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, where Jimmy displayed superhuman feats of flexibility by ruffling Trump's hair while simultaneously kissing his ass. Or when Trump hosted Saturday Night Live, and he lived out one of Kanye West's wildest dreams by having SNL not only kiss his whole ass, but more specifically, they kissed his asshole. I can almost guarantee that once everyone decides to do absolutely nothing about the light treason Trump committed, The Apprentice will be back, and it'll be watched by Trump supporters, slow stroking themselves to the sound of Trump's voice, edging until Trump makes the contestants build a wall as an elimination challenge. Well, they'll blow a big, fat red, white, and blue load because they're all very unhealthy. But also, people who hate Trump will watch it, pounding their genitals while tweeting to NBC about how they should be ashamed, thus making The Apprentice more popular than ever. And everyone involved will make a lot of money. The rich will get richer, nothing will change in America, and the people will just bend over and take it.
That's what she said.
Thank you for taking a look at Willie's Hole this week. Please like this video, comment down below. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's anything I got wrong, if there's any disagreements you may have with me. You're welcome to call me both a liberal soy boy cuck down in the comments or a boot-licking fascist Nazi. Whichever way you decide to take this, I encourage any interaction. Please also comment, like, subscribe, tell everyone, tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your dad, tell your mom, tell everyone, graffiti it on a wall, let people know about Words with Willie, let people know about Willie's Hole, and generally just, I appreciate you all coming along for the ride. Like I said, do the shit, links in the description for some shit, socials and whatnot. Live episode every Wednesday. Thank you for coming to Willie's Hole this week, and hail Satan. And also, fuck Jim.